Content editors must be conscious of how colors can be used together when presenting written content. So you'll see I have this color palette here, and we just need to make sure that we're meeting the requirements, which says that if you're using certain colors together, you need a contrast ratio of at least 4.5 to 1 for normal text and 3 to 1 for large text. And this is just to ensure that the color combinations you're using for written context has enough contrast for all users, even those with visual impairments. So if I go to this button here, it's going to open up this accessibility color palette builder. So I just took this color palette here and I entered all of those hex values here, and then I gave the colors names. So you can input your own colors here. And then if you scroll down here, it does show you how you can use those colors together to ensure that there's enough contrast in your content. So you can see this dark teal here and this white color, which is entered up here, do have enough contrast because we're seeing the colors working together. And then if you hover your cursor over it, it does even say the contrast ratio of white on dark teal is 11 to 1. So we're really meeting contrast needs here. However, when we have all of these grayed out little boxes, that means that color combination does not work. So in this case, this dark teal background and this green text don't have enough contrast to work together. And then if you hover over that box, I see a message here that says do not use green text on dark teal background. It's not compliant. It has a contrast ratio of 4.12 to 1, which is kind of close to 4.5 to 1, but it doesn't meet those needs. So I do like to always have white in here because a lot of websites use a white background. So you can see that this dark teal, this like darker burnt orange color, and this blue are all accessible with white. However, this yellow, this green, and obviously this white are not accessible with white. And then another thing you might notice is this green background right here doesn't seem to be accessible with anything. That doesn't mean you can't use that brand color on your website. It just means you can't use it with content like your headings or your paragraph text because there's not enough contrast there. You can still use it as like an accent color or a decoration in your design to maintain that color. You just can't use it for words. So if I jump back here, one thing I wanted to point out is sometimes you need to know what the contrast ratio is of colors because you might be super close to meeting the requirements. So for example, this blue right here is 4.43 to 1, and you need it to be 4.5 to 1 to work with white here to meet those contrast ratio requirements. So if you make it just a little bit darker, then you have more flexibility with that color. And then it doesn't really affect your brand very much because the color is such a slightly different shade that many users won't even notice. And I'm not even sure if all of you guys are able to see it here, but this box right here is just a slightly darker shade of blue than over here. So this one will not pass requirements, but this one will. And then again, for large text requirements, that's defined as typically 14 points, typically 18.66 pixels in bold, or 18 points, typically 24 pixels in large. So this green actually does work with white under large text requirements. So this small text right here will not pass because it's 18 pixels in regular and it needs to be 18.66 in bold. However, this 20 pixels in bold and this 24 pixels in regular size text will pass. So again, if I open up this wave tool, you'll see that, yep, this doesn't pass because it's really close to meeting the contrast ratio needs. It's just a little bit far away. This one does pass, and then this small text doesn't pass, but this larger text option does pass. So kind of giving you a little bit more confirmation on what works. It's really important to use really strong contrast for people who have developed visual disabilities, which happens as you age, or people who have had temporary visual impairments from surgeries or medical conditions, or people who are dealing with different forms of color blindness.